What's up, everybody? This is Dave here with Comics Games Life. Now, Batman is able to fight crime in the streets of Gotham, as well as save the planet from intergalactic threats. But behind this lies a glue that is able to hold his world together. And that glue is the relationship that he has with Alfred Pennyworth. Now, their relationship operates on several different levels, and in today's video, we're going to take a look at three in particular. The first one being the butler-master dynamic. Now, this lays the groundwork for the rest of the layers of the relationship to rest upon. Now, as the popularity of his character has risen throughout the years, there have been some story arcs that have made some small changes to Alfred's origin, but overall, he was the Wayne family's butler. And he's played that role since Bruce Wayne was a small child. He schedules and reschedules everything Bruce Wayne has going on, from his lavish parties all the way until his board meetings. He keeps Wayne Manor properly maintained and squeaky clean, so much so that it would pass anyone's white glove inspection. And he's able to do this tirelessly and effortlessly. Now, this may not seem like a big deal in the world of superheroes and supervillains, but this is a crucial and unseen role that allows Batman to be able to do all the things that he does. He doesn't need to worry so much about the comings and goings of his alter identity as Bruce Wayne, because Alfred's got that handled, so he can put a majority of his focus on being Batman. Now, on the flip side of that, Batman is incredibly grateful for all the things that Alfred is able to do for him so that he can continue fighting crime and saving the world. But there have been several times where he hasn't shown his appreciation, because Alfred is so good and he's able to accommodate Bruce in the ways that he does, just like any other employer-employee relationship. Once you set the expectations high, meeting those on the daily become the norm instead of the exception. And Batman can lose sight of that at times and take advantage of Alfred and not treat him the way that he should, and not be as appreciative at the lengths that Alfred goes to make his life as easy as possible. And when that happens, there's usually an event or something tragic that happens to Batman that makes him remember how awesome that Alfred is in his life. And that's what I mean when I call Alfred the glue that holds Batman's life together. Because even when Batman messes up, and Alfred leaves or quits, or they don't see eye to eye for whatever reason, Alfred always comes back if Batman truly needs him. As an example, if you remember the Batman Venom story arc that took place in the 1990s, where Batman became addicted to this super drug that gave him enhanced strength and abilities, but totally messed up his mind. Once he came to the place where he realized how far he had gone, so much so that he pushed Alfred away and Alfred actually quit, he reached out to Alfred and was a broken man. But Alfred saw that and he came back and he helped him. Which brings us to the next attribute I like to talk about in regards to the relationship, and that's tactical support and the vigilante. Because when he's not baking bread and washing the T-Rex, he's sharpening batarangs and sewing up bullet holes in the Batsuit. So when Alfred is Batman's tactical support, he often goes by the codename of Penny One. And he acts as Batman's guy in the chair by delivering technical and logistics report as well as real-time operational intelligence. There are times where he has to go out in the field to deliver medical support, backup, and even to save Batman's life at times. A great example of this comes from Batman Annual issue number 3 back in 2016. And this is when Batman, he got stabbed and he's bleeding out in the city, and Alfred has to go and rescue him. So Alfred leaves the Batcave to go rescue Batman. But before he does, he grabs one of Batman's masks. And this is to prevent anyone from knowing his identity, because if they see Alfred with Batman, they're going to know that they're somehow connected and will probably figure out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. So as Alfred becomes the Bat Butler, or the Battler, as some people like to call him, he pulls up on two thugs that are about to finish off Batman. And Alfred ain't about to let that happen. Now, although Alfred does know how to fight, he is not as skilled a fighter as Batman. So when he goes toe-to-toe with these two hooligans, they give him a run for his money. But in the end, he prevails. But there's still more saving to do because Batman is bleeding out. So he throws him into the Batmobile and proceeds to give him emergency medical treatment. And this keeps Batman stable enough so Alfred is able to get him to a medical facility where one of their doctor friends can administer additional medical help. And this is just one example of Alfred being the tactical support that Batman truly needs. When it comes to crime fighting, there's no way that Batman can do it at the level that he does without Alfred. Now, from Batman's point of view, this can actually be sort of a detriment to Alfred, because Batman sees Alfred's extraordinary efforts and easily overlook how much of a toll it takes on Alfred to keep this momentum going. Because he's no spring chicken. Alfred is 22 years older than Bruce. So sometimes it takes moments where Alfred does do these heroic deeds, puts himself in danger, and nearly loses his life for Bruce to understand this. But when he does, he gives Alfred the break that he needs. Because it's not just Batman pushing Alfred to do these things. Alfred has an internal drive to help Bruce because he loves and cares for him. So he goes to these extremes almost completely on his own. And Bruce needs to be the one to pump the brakes for Alfred, just like Alfred is the one that pumps the brakes for Bruce. Now, I think this is a great place to jump to the final aspect I'd like to talk about in regards to the relationship, and that's the father-son aspect, because Alfred has raised Bruce since he was a child, and after the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne, Alfred was all that Bruce had. Now, it's impossible for him to replace the role of Bruce's parents, but he did the best that he possibly could. And this effort wasn't motivated by duty or loyalty to the family, but really it was all about love. Alfred loves Bruce like any father would love their own son, and Bruce loves Alfred like a son would love his father. And in my opinion, one of the best examples that we've seen in comics of their relationship comes out of that issue I mentioned earlier, Batman Annual number 3. Because after Batman gets that additional medical attention and Alfred gets his much needed rest, Bruce surprises Alfred with breakfast in bed and goes on to tell him that he's not going to be going on patrol tonight due to his injuries and that Alfred should just continue getting as much rest that he needs. And Alfred is caught off guard because he's surprised how responsible that Bruce is being in this moment. And that's when Bruce reassures him and says, "Well, I didn't want you to have to worry about me, especially on a day like today." And Alfred responds with, "Really? What's so special about today?" And then Bruce gives him a sideways look and somewhat of an awkward smile and just tells him to get some rest. Because the reason why that day was so special is because it was Father's Day. And this is Bruce's small way of giving back to a man who had given him so much. So the beautiful thing about this father-son relationship that they both have is neither one really admits it out loud. They don't use it against one another, but instead it's floating in the background in the things that they do and the way they treat each other. And it's not always in a positive light, because there have been plenty of times where Alfred had to put Bruce in his place. To see a cool moment of this, let's look at All-Star Batman and Robin. Now, this is where Batman is training Robin, Dick Grayson Robin, and Batman's making him sleep on the Batcave floor, hunt for rats and stuff like that. And Alfred isn't liking the way Batman is treating a young Dick Grayson. So he decides to sneak in cheeseburgers and french fries into the Batcave so that this kid can actually have a real meal, something outside of rats and bugs that he's been hunting. And when Batman catches wind of this, he is livid. And he actually grabs Alfred and shoves him against the wall and asks him what he thinks he's doing. But no matter how tough Batman is, Alfred isn't afraid of him. And he steps up to him and he tells him, "I am your butler, I am your help, I am your medic, but I am not your slave. Let go of me." And Bruce couldn't say anything, and he let him go and walked away. So although there are times where they don't get along, there is still love and respect there. And without Alfred, Bruce would be a lost soul. He would be corrupted by the crime that he continues to fight. He would eventually be what he is trying to save people from. But their relationship isn't always about being so serious and being dark and moody. So I want to leave you guys with this. Now, as a father myself, I can attest that there are times when we go to lengths that are kind of silly and we would do anything to make our kids happy. Alfred does this to Bruce, and in a hilarious chain of events, Bruce finds out that Alfred has been paying people to laugh at his jokes. So when Bruce is at parties and he's talking to people and he's telling jokes and he's trying to be charming, Alfred has actually paid those people to laugh at his jokes. And the way that the story tells it, it seems like every time one of these people laughs, they earn $20. Now, when Bruce hears about this and finds out what's been going on, he confronts Alfred and he wants to know, "So how much money have you actually spent paying people to laugh at my jokes?" And then he takes a small moment to think about this and replies with, "Over $85,000. Now, I know that's a drop in the bucket when it comes to the Wayne fortune, but that is a lot of money to spend on other people to laugh at your kids' jokes. But to wrap everything up, Alfred and Batman's relationship is something that will stand the test of time. Although currently Alfred is no longer with us, I'm sure they're going to bring him back at some point in DC's All-In series that are going on right now. We do have him in Absolute Batman, although he is a completely different Alfred and a completely different Batman. I highly recommend you guys check that out because it is phenomenal. Their dynamic is not what we're used to, but at the same time, it is very much their own. So I only touched on 3 aspects of their relationship, and I did so very briefly. It's easy to do a deep dive on these two, seeing as how their story is decades old. There's so much content there to delve into, to flesh out further aspects of the relationship, where there are many more moments we see them at odds with each other, we see them embracing one another, and working together as an unstoppable team. So that's the end of this week's video. Once again, my name is Dave. This is Comics Games Life. I appreciate you all so much for watching. Remember to always support your local comic and game shops, and I will see you next time.